What's up guys, it's me, Straw Hat Nate, and I'm back this week with a new One Piece chapter video. This time we have chapter 1150 titled Domi Reversi. Because of the out of left field arrival of Emu to Elbaf last chapter, the final boss of all of One Piece, this chapter really gets crazy and fast. Emu shows off some of his or her powers for the first time ever, which allows us as an audience to make some predictions about the identity of Emu's devil fruit, which I'll discuss later on in this video. The displays of power by this devil fruit are so broken that by the end of the chapter, it really feels like that Straw Hats are up against an unstoppable opponent now on Elbaf. So without further ado, let's get into this chapter after you like the video and subscribe to the channel. First off, the cover this week continues on with the Yamato cover series in the land of Wano, which I said would be ending soon, and it will be. Now, she and her followers, Page 1 and Ulti, are in the region of Hakumai in order to return Yasui's katana to the Enma Shrine, where the grave of all of the powerful swords of Wano rest. And now we jump into the chapter where the Elbaf giant parents are running at their kids, who are all crying because these kids were previously held hostage by the God's Knights. And as they reunite in a joyous scene, they notice that in the sky, in the distance, Gunko's body, now possessed by the soul of Emu, is floating in the air and going through some sort of transformation. Then, out of nowhere, Emu uses a burst of powerful haki, taking out all of these giants who aren't even strong enough to fight, such as the kids and parents who are just reuniting. And this alerts the warrior giants, such as Dorry and Brogy, that they must fight this demon. And in a huge panel, we see Emu spreading her wings with a pointy tail and a pitchfork, which are typical attributes of many depictions of devils and Satan. From this, we can assume that Emu has a devil fruit with stereotypical demonic powers, and it might even be called the devil fruit. Some people predict that this fruit belonging to Emu might be the first of all the devil fruits. Then Emu talks down to Saint Killingham, saying that she is dissatisfied by the weakness of his nightmare monsters that he created, but Killingham, probably fearing his master Emu, yells that they are still useful to their cause because they never really die, and he has a point there. Then we see Summers frantically kneeling on the ground after he was embarrassed last chapter by Gabon, because he, just like Killingham, doesn't want to be a disappointment to his master Emu. And he is commanded by Emu to guide the children back into line to be hostages again, and he complies with that, obviously listening to his master. The tied up Straw Hats on the sidelines see all of this occur, and Jinbei is really confused by the quick personality shift from Gunko to Emu. And they don't know that this is Emu who is here on Elbaf, the leader of the world. Robin asks about the location of Luffy and the others because they desperately need some help here now. But that group is still lounging around in the underworld, being useless. So Robin says that she has to do something herself, but she doesn't do anything just yet in this chapter at least. Then we switch back to Emu, who is thinking about who to bargain with since the giants don't have a clear leader, and I guess she doesn't want to do any more bargaining with the Elder Ja Rule. So as she faces the giant warrior pirates who are rushing at her for battle, she commands the leaders of them, Dorry and Brogy, to act against the kings of Elbaf, which is weird at first because she holds no power or authority over them, at least not yet. And it shows how full of herself that Emu is. Brogy then grabs onto this devilish creature, and as she's in his hands, Emu conjures a book, a demonic spell book, almost like a grimoire from Black Clover. And she casts a spell that Brogy must go and kill the Elder Ja Rule and proclaim himself, Brogy, the king of Elbaf, along with his partner Dorry. So the book then activates, conjuring a double-barrel shotgun and a knife for Emu to use. She uses the knife to stab his hand, weakening his grip, and then she uses the double-barrel shotgun to blast off his entire arm, saying that she will grant him the powers of evil as long as he complies. And then the pained and armless Brogy is wobbling on the ground, weakened, and Emu forces him into a demonic contract, exchanging some of his lifespan for immortality and strength. But this comes at the expense of his logic, so he then has to become a demonic slave for Emu. This summons a big-ass seal under Brogy, which then he falls into, sinking into the void below. And after struggling for a while, sinking in the void, and actually getting flipped around by Emu in order to have his whole body submerged, Brogy pops out, transformed into a demon with devil horns and pointy teeth. His warrior men are terrified that their boss has now become evil, and then with the swing of his axe, he easily swats these men away, showing that he's got much more stronger with Emu's influence. Then we see that Emu has also made Dorry and some of their other giant warrior pirates into demons, the same way she made Brogy into a demon. The crazy thing is that they don't even get a chance to fight back before they are quickly contracted into demonic slavery under the leader of the world, Emu. So now she has the power of two of the strongest giants of Elbaf and some of their strongest men on her side. So the rest of the giant warrior pirates have no choice but to fall back to their villages. We see in the final pages a big panel of the demon giants and the nightmare monsters, all under the influence of Emu and ready to wreak havoc on Elbaf and anyone who comes in their way. In the final little panels, though, we see that Ja Rule tells the giants not to retreat because that isn't the brave warrior way, and then he stares down the danger ahead of him, Emu and all of her demonic slaves. And that's it for this chapter. Not a lot of events actually happened in the chapter, but it was a super insightful chapter for showing the powers of the final boss of One Piece, Emu. From this chapter, we can understand that Emu's devil fruit has some sort of relationship with demonic contracts and satanic symbolism. These devilish powers of Emu starkly contrast the godly powers belonging to our main character, Luffy, so their battle is fated to happen. Right now, there's quite literally nobody of importance up in the Sun Realm other than Ja Rule, I guess. So the guys in the underworld, like Luffy and Loki, have to come up soon. Between the ruler of the world, the God's Knights, the evil giants, and the nightmare monsters, the good guys here on Elbaf really have their work cut out for them. Next chapter is next week, thankfully, because there isn't a break, and I predict that in that chapter, it will end with some big arrival of Luffy. So if you made it to the end of this video, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to show your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.